Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning and welcome. It's Nurse Richard the Wax Wizard. Thanks for joining me. You're going to find this fascinating. This was probably one of the most difficult procedures I've done this year. It was really tough. It's a long one as well. I know a few of you like the longer ones. Some haven't got the patience for it, but I think it's nearly half an hour long. It was so difficult. Now, you can probably already see here that, yes, you can see the eardrum in the distance here. But what you can also see is what looks like these white fibres to the untrained eye can be mistaken for cotton wool. But it wasn't cotton wool. It's a fungal infection, and most likely it's Aspergillus niger. Now, there's a few types of fungal infections that you can get in the ear. This is Aspergillus. It's the most common one, where you see these white, sometimes yellow spores. And the other one you can get is Candida, which is more. It can be like more of a discharge. But this one, it was interesting this because it's a full-size tube here. I quickly gave up with that because I thought it would do the job on that, but it clearly didn't. I needed the fine end, but I went down to that shortly anyway. You can see a bit better. The optics of the video are a lot better when I go down to the fine end tube. You can see a lot clearer. Anyway, it's I completely forgot what I was talking about. This fella, he'd had it done about 5 weeks ago, and all what you're seeing here now, this is by far not the worst ear. The other one, it's terrible. It's really difficult. This was just more around the peripheries of the ear and the edges of the canal. But yeah, he'd had it cleared 5 weeks ago, and this stuff has grown like bilio. It's come back really, really quickly. Now, he'd been having problems for, he said, about 2 years. And it's either been a missed diagnosis or a misdiagnosis. There's a few points in the video where it'll go silent. And it's mostly because the patient was chatting sometimes during the procedure, as a few do. It's why it gets a bit wobbly sometimes. And he was saying some not very nice things about his doctor, his physician, so I've had to cut that out. Because there was some blue language in it as well when I was explaining to him what it was. He's like, well, why has nobody else realised this yet? But it was quite clear. His doctor had told him that he'd just got a dry ear, and he should be putting olive oil in every day. Now, you shouldn't put olive oil in every day with anything really, to be honest. Not long term, it's not going to fix anything. But when you've got, and I'm no laboratory scientist, or I'm not a microbiologist or a mycologist, that's what they call them, experts in fungus, but I believe that olive oil will only seek to feed fungus. Fungus likes a good meal, doesn't it? It likes a good nosh on stuff, and it will provide some food and sustenance for the fungus. So that's the last thing you want to put in to an ear that's got a fungal infection is olive oil. So if any of you have and you get told that, please don't. First and foremost, you need to get it cleaned. You need to get it removed because the antifungal medication, which can come in a drop, it's probably better that it's topical. Topical means like on the skin rather than a systemic one, i.e. something that you take orally and it spread all around your body. But it needs to get to the source. But it's not really going to work and help with this fungal infection until you can clear away all the debris. Now, we managed to get a good 95% of it, so there will be specks here and there, but when it comes to A, because it's mostly really difficult, but B, when it comes to fungal infections, you can clean away everything that you can see with the naked eye, but I guarantee it would still come back because there'll be bits of it that you just can't see anywhere, and it's because the spores can be so tiny and it would take hold pretty quickly. So it's a good idea to clear away as much as is safely possible, and then to get the antifungal drops in there. But certainly a swab would help as well. ask the doctor for a swab, then you can confirm specifically which strand of fungus it is. But we're pretty sure that it's Aspergillus, which you can usually get in these web-like structures, you know, that looks like cotton wool. But it was so difficult to remove because, more so the other one, this one wasn't too bad. Still tricky, don't get me wrong. But you've got, I mean, you can kind of see a little bit of it there, that it's springing back. There's debris here and skin, and it's clinging on for dear life. The other one, it can present me with a similar challenge to Keratosubterans because there was so much energy stored in the ball in the other ear that it just kept springing back whenever I tried to pull it away, and it was a nightmare. But going back to fungus, and like I said, the other word for a fungal infection, otomycosis. It probably stems from the word mycelium, and fungus, again, I'm by no means expert in this, so people feel free to want to correct me, then go for it. But what it did remind me of, because I get a lot of weird comments, I've said this in other videos before, about people trying to promote the use of mushrooms and fungus in healthcare, and I suppose there is some growing evidence about this, and it is fascinating. And I'll tell you what really fascinates me. There was a show, I think it was on Netflix, called Fantastic Fungi. Now, if you haven't seen it, I'd highly recommend you going and watching it. Now, whether it's all been fact-checked or not, I'm not entirely sure how much of it is evidence-based, but I knew about a bit of it, and I knew a lot of it was true because fungus, it plays a huge part in the natural circle of life. You know, basically helps to eat dead things and kind of recycle them. You know, even stores carbon, I believe. But the program, and I don't normally make notes when I'm making videos like this, but I wrote down a few notes here that I've got scattered around me in front with some interesting facts. Anyway, these are facts that is claimed by that show anyway, but it's probably why I should watch it. So yeah, like I said, it can break things down. When I'm no longer here, I've left this earth, I'll get munched up by fungus. You know, anything that decomposes because fungus that's eating it. And one of the interesting facts that it said on this show was, this is the other ear now, as you can see. Now I thought, in the vain hope, I'll just stick the fine tube on that just to see what happened, what I could feel already just by touching it. It's solid, and it's not going anywhere. Even peeling it from the side wasn't going to happen, so I had to move up to the full-size tube here, and then I'll go back down to that one when I get this bigger plug out the way. Anyway, so yeah, one of the things that we learned from this program, I thought that the blue whale is the biggest living animal. Now, I suppose if you're classing fungus as an animal, it's not really an animal, is it? But it's a living organism. The largest living organism in the world, apparently, according to this, is a fungus. It's a network of fungus. I believe they call it the humongous fungus. Someone tell me if you've heard of this. And it's in Oregon, in what's the forest called? Oregon's Malhern National Forest. Apparently it covers 2,000 acres, weighs 35,000 tons. I don't know, you can weigh something that's underground. And it's 8,000 years old. The largest living organism, the humongous fungus. Yeah, somebody tell me if that's true, or anyone's heard of this, or have seen it, or have been there. I know there's a few of you who are watching the US. Whether there's any who live in Oregon, I don't know. Feel free to let me know in the comments down below. But we do have a lot to thank fungus for. Me particularly, I love blue cheese. My wife absolutely hates it. She said, it just smells like sweaty socks. But I love a blue cheese. Stilton cheese, there's nothing quite as good as Stilton cheese on a cracker with plenty of butter. And even fungus yeast. It's involved in the fermenting process, isn't it? So we have fungus to thank for not just blue cheese, but beer and bourbon and bread, and also to do with the fermentation process, I believe. Helps to turn things into alcohol, and also it can. Now there's a load of evidence out here, but there'll be some of you guys that probably know more about this than me. So I'd be interested to know. You can see I've managed to get a bit of this chunk out here. The therapeutic effect of fungus, specifically the, what should we call them, the psychedelic type of fungus, can help with mental health, anxiety, addiction, depression, apparently. Again, no expert. But I believe it was experimented with quite a lot years ago, 60s, 70s. I think also with LSD. I believe I've read it is fungus based as well. Again, I might be wrong on that one. But there is a lot of growing evidence that it can help with those types of mental health issues. And penicillin as well, obviously. Got a lot to thank that for, haven't we? I believe penicillin was a Scottish fellow, wasn't it, Fleming, who discovered it. But I believe he couldn't mass produce it, so I think some British and American scientists figured out how to mass produce it. And I believe it played a large part in the success of the Allies in World War II, because, you know, in the battlefield, infection is going to be rife, isn't it? But apparently the Americans came over with pockets full of doses of penicillin, and that helped in some small way, probably a large way actually, to prevent illnesses and keep some of them soldiers alive, you know. I believe that did play a large part in that as well. The thing that fascinated me most about this show was when it talked about the underground network of fungus. You'll see, I'll talk about that in a second. Now, what I was saying about before, that it kind of gave me similar problems to Keratosis obturans, which is, you know, is a skin, well, you might not know, it's where skin is shed in the air but doesn't move sideways. It just kind of, you get these layers upon layers upon layers of dead skin in there. It's really difficult to remove. And this bit presents quite similarly, because this is the bit that's gone silent when he was saying something about his doctor. So as you can see, I'll try and pull it, but it just springs, and it springs back, and it goes down into in the recesses as well, which are these little dips and crevices and trenches that you can't see. But as I'm trying to pull, it's just springing back, and whilst it's literally sat on top of the eardrum, this stuff that remains, I don't feel confident I don't think it's safe to use the full-size tube there either. So I've got to stick with the fine end tube, which it made it really difficult. Now, every time you hear that little noise, it means there is bits coming away. But what I'm really trying to do is peel it away. But every time I peel it away, it's just springing back, which is what makes it incredibly difficult. Now, we couldn't hear a thing out of this here. It was really, really struggling. And like I said, it had only been 5 weeks. What was I saying? Yeah. Oh yeah, this network. And again, this is stuff that I learned from that film, Fantastic Fungi. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. Again, somebody feel free to fact check it or correct it. But fungus is everywhere. You know, it's underground network, all connected. You know, like a web underground. But what they said was, say in forests, say these trees, they kind of communicating with each other underground via this network of fungus. You know, there's trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of this network made up underground of fungus. And apparently, say for example, if one tree is struggling, it's not got enough food or it's not got enough nutrients or what have you, it communicates. A healthy tree could communicate to that tree that's not doing very well via the fungus underground, and they can kind of feed each other. And again, that sounds bonkers to me, that, but if that's true, then that's amazing. But what it did remind me of, does anybody remember Avatar, which is a great film? It reminded me. I thought we actually are living. I can't remember what the planet's called. No, it's gone. But what do they call it? Iwa. It's like the force that connects everything. And I thought it's just like that. Everything's connected underground and talking and communicating with each other. And yeah, I just found it fascinating. Oh, as you can see, I am trying to peel this away and lift it up, but again, it's just trying to spring back. And some bits are coming away. You can just see in the foreground, can't you? Near towards the camera, you can still see some of these fungal spores as well. I did get those after. I think it's more important to get this big blockage out from his eardrum before we attack that. But it is coiled up, this, just like keratosis would present. And whether he had that as well, I don't know. It's not unthinkable to think that. Or whether all this is caused by the fungal infection. Don't know. Any other specialists watching, feel free to let me know your opinions, what you think. Because like I said, this is 5 weeks worth from being cleared. And it's not really the volume, it's the consistency and the positioning of where this is that makes it so hard. And you might be thinking, get some olive oil in there. Again, as I explained before, olive oil is the last thing that you want to put in somebody's ear when they've got a fungal infection, because you're essentially just giving it a meal and it'll probably just spread like wildfire. One thing I did learn about through personal experiences about fungal infections, which you can get in lots of places on your body, can't they? It likes warm, damp, moist environments. I was looking around for a natural remedy for it once, because I had one in a place that I'm not going to tell you. I'm an open book, and I'll tell most people anything, but I'm not telling you about this. But I found out that, because I've tried all kinds of creams and what have you, nothing had worked. So I'd heard that tea tree oil can help to kill fungus, but it turns out that you've got to make sure you dilute it first. Do not put it on neat. There's a large amount of screaming and stinging going on, so I've learned that through painful experience. If you are going to use tea tree oil anywhere sensitive, I'll spare you the details on this. Make sure you dilute it, don't use it neat. But in a bit, whilst I was after I'd been battling with this for a long time, which I already have been, as you can see, I did use some sodium bicarbonate drops. Now again, I'm not sure on the science or evidence. I know about the olive oil. Ideally, you should avoid that if you can. So I thought I'll try some sodium bicarbonate drops and see if that helps to separate this away. And I don't think it's as likely to give the fungal infection as good a meal as the olive oil would, but I thought there's just no way it's coming out anyway. Again, if somebody knows the answer to that, then feel free. But the logic in my head was thinking, yeah, it probably won't do any harm, certainly not as much harm as it would do if you put olive oil in there. So I did try that in a bit. It's just coiled together like a spring. Yeah, I think it was when I started to have a go at this bit at the top here that we actually started to get somewhere. It might be really frustrating for some of you guys to watch this. And let me tell you, it's not half as frustrating as it was for me to do. Because this is, there you go, as you can see here, put a load of drops in, give it a couple of minutes, and then we'll see if this can, I mean, it'll certainly help to get a better grip. Whether it helps to loosen it or not, we shall find out. It's still not easy, you still see it springing away, can't you? Now I'm just holding that there in the vain hope that that disappears up the tube, so I don't need to come out and then go back in again, but it didn't. So here we go. Like I said, I thought I'd made some progress with trying to peel it from the top there, so as you see, I'm just about to try that again now, I think. I've tried it from the bottom, tried it from the other side, it's just not lifting from anywhere there. So we'll try it from this side as well. And we are getting some movement, not a lot, so we'll go back and have a go at that side too. If you are enjoying this, if you're not finding it frustrating, then let me know. Drop me a comment. I do try and reply to as many as I can, if not all of them. I certainly read them all and like them. And if you like this, then feel free to click that like button. Do it right now. Do it on there. It does help to get these videos out in front of more people. And if whichever channel you're on, if you're enjoying it, then feel free to share it, follow the page, subscribe to the channel. I think is there a button you click? Is it a bell? And then it gets you you get told when there's a new episode out, which is every 2 days, by the way, every 48 hours, 8 PM UK time. So set your alarm clocks. It's one of them, it just keeps you in suspense, doesn't it? You're thinking, when will it? It did eventually. I promise you've not suffered through this watching it for nothing. We do get rid of it in the end. And I've got some good before and after images as well. Which I don't normally share. There's no ruler shot at the end, because this bit that came out, it was absolutely tiny. It wasn't going to look impressive at all. So, but I've put some before and after pictures at the end anyway. Oh, I forgot to mention when I went through some of these facts, like I said, I did a bit of reading on fungus and what have you before I did this. Now, there are some scientists, how reputable they are or not, I don't know, who said that fungus, particularly the psychedelic ones, shall we say, some scientists think it may have formed a part in evolution, in how humans became smarter and evolved a bit. How true that is, I don't know, but what they reckon is that a few of them took some of this stuff and it made them think differently, and it helped them to develop more tools and more sophisticated way of living, and that helped the human species evolve more from ape. How true that is, I don't know. It's interesting, isn't it, to picture some apes accidentally taking some psychedelic mushrooms and imagining what might happen there. I really don't know if I believe that one. It might, again, if somebody knows more than me, then feel free to put us a comment down below. No, that would be fascinating if that was true. I don't know how you'd ever prove that, to be honest with you. It looks like it's really wanting to come down there, isn't it now? It's just dying to get unstuck. And I've got a full grip there, because you know you've got a full grip when you've got no noise. So you can hear. That's why I leave the sounds in. So you can, I mean, a lot of this we actually do, not just by eye, but by ear as well, because it's a long way down, and sometimes it's not difficult to see. It's not perfectly clear to tell when you've got the suction tube on the bit that you're trying to get it on. But when it does, the hissing noise that you can hear from the suction, that stops. So that's I'm always listening when we're doing these procedures, because it's when you get that silence that you think, yes, I've got a good grip of this now. Here's the bit that I think is the key to it all, the bit at the top there. So as you can just see, can't you, little glimpses of the eardrum now. I suppose it makes you appreciate just how close this has been to it all the time, which is probably why in hindsight it was a good idea to stay with a full-size tube, to stay with the small tube rather than the full-size tube that close to the eardrum. There we go. This is the one. Now you can see, I can see it all moving there, so I'm going to give it a really good tug, and you can see it's just trying to stretch back into it. But what I try and do is, after you've pulled it, let go and try and catch it underneath it before it gets pulled back down. And you can see it's starting to come now. Finally.
What a worm.
Yeah, did you hear the patient look like a worm? Here it comes. Now, where's all that come from? Didn't look like much when it was down there, wasn't it? But when I kept pulling it and lifting it from underneath, just got a bit on the camera there as well, unfortunately. But you can just about see it, this thing that I pulled out there. And yeah, see straight through to the eardrum now. So these bits in the foreground that I was saying, we'll just tidy them up as well. Gives the medicine better chance to work when we get it in there. And again, it's not going to be every last spec. To say I'm more than happy with what we've already done so far is an understatement, because that was difficult. Now, and obviously I've sent a letter along with some images to this patient's doctor, asking for a prescription for the antifungal drops.
Yeah.
Now, some people have asked me this, because I am a nurse prescriber. I can prescribe all kinds of, well, any medication, to be honest, that you feel is in your field of knowledge. No, there's no restrictions on that. But I don't often, when you have to, when you're prescribed, certainly when you work for yourself, when you're in private healthcare, obviously you have to be covered by indemnity insurance. And for the amount of times that I've thought I needed to do a prescription here, it's really not worth it financially, because the insurance premium that you have to pay when you're doing prescriptions, it's massive, and so it's really not worth it, to be honest. When all I can do is just send a letter to the patient's GP, and they can do it. So that's what we often do. And most of the stuff we recommend is over the counter. So here's the before and after. Look at that. Looks like a cotton wool ball, doesn't it? And there's after that. Looks messy, yeah, but it's so much better than it was before. And here's the other one. Again, another furry mess. And let's see what that looked like afterwards. There you go. A lot better. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I know it was a bit of an epic, but thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. But for now, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye for now.